This is also boards worthy, so it just kind of spells it out more. Most of our structures in the oral cavity are going to come from the frontal process and the first branchial arch. This frontal process includes forehead and frontal bone, median nasal process, so right here, right? And which extends to the center and tip of the nose, nasal septum, and includes the globular process, includes the philtrum, and the premaxillary palate, which is your primary palate. The frontal process also includes the lateral nasal processes, and that's going to include the sides of the nose, the ala, and the infraorbital area. Infra below, orbital eye, so below the eye. So this is infraorbital, right? And then zygomatic is right next to it. Your first branchial arch, also known as the mandibular arch, is going to include the maxillary and the mandibular process. So your maxillary process includes the lateral palatine processes, which is your palatal shells that'll come together, and the upper parts of your cheek, including the sides of the upper lip. So, sides of upper lip. Then you have the mandibular process, which is your lower jaw. It includes the lower parts of your face, your lower lip. It also includes the anterior 2/3 of your tongue. So the points at the bottom, the posterior 1/3 of your tongue develops from the second and third branchial arch. Branchial means gill. So like fish gills, when they start to be formed, that's the more you know. Da, 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 da. The development of the face begins about week 3, but it's in full development in week 4. The buccopharyngeal membrane, bucco meaning your cheek, and pharyngeal meaning the back of your throat, separates the oral cavity from the pharynx until it really ruptures through during the 4th week, making it the primary pharynx, because that oropharyngeal membrane disintegrates, making the primitive pharynx and making it, the stomidium, bigger. The upper lip is complete within 6 to 8 weeks. It's fused by the medial nasal process with the intermaxillary segment, so that's the right and left processes of the maxillary arch as well. And the palate develops between week 6 and 12 from the fusion of that globular process. That includes your philtrum with the left and right palatal shells. We'll get more into this as we go with cleft palate. And it separates our stomidium, stomidium meaning mouth, into an upper and lower cavity. So it makes that final separation from your nose to your mouth. The embryonic processes fuse anterior to posteriorly, and clefts can occur when these fail.